What's up, Juggernauts? In this video we are going to be discussing how to cut this crazy tall, nasty, I think it's a lawn. It's definitely tall, but I'm going to show you the tips and tricks on how I handle these crazy jobs in order to make money. This, believe it or not, this property only took us just above 30 minutes and we charged $125 for it. So extremely tall. Yes, that is a house back there. You know, you asked for another tall, nasty, crazy, extreme yard. I listened, and here it is. I hope that you enjoy it. Let me know what you think.
So you've come here to watch to cut tall grass?
Oh no, I came here for you, strong man. Big, strong man.
Stop it, Smokey. Welcome back. All right. We are here for another one. We're going to be talking about this insanely tall grass. And I've got a few things that I just have to say before we get started. First off, we are up 950% this month. And that's quite impressive. And as you can see, we've got over 1 million minutes of watch time. That's insane. You know, the thing that I wanted to do when I started this channel is help other people out. Not only in business, but you know, I'd like to teach them my techniques that I've learned over the years because I spent a lot of time learning them. But the same thing with business and with my self-development. I mean, there's a couple things I'm passionate about in my life. Okay, I'm passionate about my family, so obviously I want to grow there. I'm passionate about and in with my family, obviously my marriage, but I'm also passionate about my business. I'm passionate about lawn care, as you can see, and I'm also passionate about my personal development. You know, that's everything in there. Obviously, family, business, my internal self, you know, my self-esteem, the way I hold myself, my charisma, all of that, as well as my personal connection with Christ. And so I like to communicate those things in this channel. If that's what you like hearing about, if that's what you want to know about, this is a channel for you. Stop delaying, just go ahead and subscribe, hit that notification bell. I promise you will not be let down. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, this just in, I didn't know this, but people that are not cutting their own grass and people that do not own a lawn care business like watching lawn care videos. I don't get it, it blows my mind, but you are my type of crazy, okay? We share in a mutual addiction of the love of lawn care. So, if that is you, and you just like watching tall, crazy lawns get cut, please let me know in the comments. I want to know kind of who my subscribers are. I want to know what dark rabbit hole on YouTube you were looking at. Well, not necessarily. You don't got to tell me that. But just let me know if you are a homeowner watching for tips, or if you're interested in the business aspects, so if you own a business or you're wanting to start a business, or if you just like watching crazy stuff get cut, man. Either way, it helps me make better videos for you. Your feedback truly helps us growing.
Okay, so this was an exchange between two of our viewers, and I just want to say I am always watching. I see everything. So I can see very clearly that you understand what I'm trying to accomplish with my videos, and I just want to let you know I truly appreciate it. You want a shirt, and reach out to me on Facebook and I will get that to you. There's a link in the description if you'd like to purchase a shirt for yourself. All the proceeds will be going to give back through giveaways and stuff like that on our channel. I will be giving a shirt to somebody that comments in this video, and just know that positivity always trumps negativity.
As far as this particular job goes, this is an abatement property that a resident actually lives at. Okay, so it's not a vacant property, it's an abatement property. That means the city called us because it's overgrown and we're going to cut it. So you know, this is very common. Things happen right now. It's I guess very common. People are getting sick and not able to cut their own property. You know, people are hard up on money and stuff right now as well. So, you know, we kind of got some criticism in the last one when I said I only cut it for $60. Hey man, I don't care. Our business, we mow a lot of nice yards. all weekly. We don't take on bi-weeklies. We don't generally cut crazy ones. So our money is made off of those. And if I can use this as an outlet to speak with you and teach you some tips and tricks, as well as help somebody else, I'm down for doing it a little cheaper. I don't see an issue with that at all. So, having said that, we're cutting it in sections. So I'm breaking this off into sections in the back with the 36-inch walk behind. It's an X mark. I side discharge everything, and while I'm doing that, James is over here. He's cutting a significant amount of the yard up closer to the house because there's a lot of trash and debris and things in there we don't want to hit with the mower. He's cutting that with the weed eater in kind of a hack and slash method. But when you're doing this, if you're cutting tall stuff, if you think of it like I want to say like cutting something with a knife and you're shaving off the edge, that's what you want to do. So you're using the weed eater and you're going to kick it back at your legs so that it's out of the path of what you just did with the weed eater. And you know, it's not about making it pristine, so you can take a little bit off on the pass forward, but the pass that actually is kicking it back towards you is the pass that you're taking a large chunk of the grass off, if that makes sense. We don't have to cut it extremely low right here. James is going to come in and cut it a little higher, probably around, I want to say 6 inches or so. You know, the 5 or 6 inch mark. He's just knocking it down so that I can bring the mower in and polish it up. So for me, what I am doing while he's doing this process, oh, look at that push mower there. It's got a buddy too. There's a couple push mowers there. They was just sitting there thinking about doing some work. You know, they might work this year, they might not. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe them mowers got tested for COVID and they's on quarantine.
Francis, shut up. You're only allowed to talk intros.
That hurts my feelings, big strong man. Back to this. James is, you can see the swath. I mean, he is just slamming it down. He's knocking it down faster than the mower is knocking it down. The grass was so high in the back of the property that it was actually folding under my deck. So normally on something like this, you would cut on the absolute highest setting your mower can go. But what I found is in this property, if I put it on the highest setting, it would just lay over in front of the mower and it wasn't actually hitting the blade. So I had to knock it down a little bit so that it would lay over and push up into the blades a little bit, because that way it wouldn't have as much gap between the deck and the ground, and it would actually eat something. Does that make sense? It was actually chewing up the grass. So I was cutting it on the highest setting, which is, I want to say this deck goes about I don't know, 6 or 7 inches up. I don't really know, man. It's got 7 holes on it to adjust it. But as far as the height, you know, I've never really measured. I just know that this mower cuts good at a 3 or a 4, and I can eyeball it and tell where my properties are at. Normally I'm cutting properties around 2.5 inches to 3 inches throughout the season. Sometimes I cut them lower. It is very, very, very rare. It depends on the type of lawn and if it is incredibly level or not. So I'm doing this, the first pass you kind of go over, and it was kind of a clearing pass where you're knocking it down, and I'm shooting everything outward. Then I did another pass where I actually went through and knocked it down again. Again, we're shooting it outward on that pass. And then the third pass is kind of a polishing pass where you're getting the stragglers that were left. And this is kind of a shot where you can just see exactly how tall this Johnson grass is. If you don't have Johnson grass in your area, it's very, very, very invasive. You can see the seed pods up there. They go to seed very quick, and this stuff will get about knee high within 2 or 3 weeks, and it will get above your head very rapidly. Once it starts getting real tall, it'll start drying out after it goes to seed, and it'll get really woody. So that's kind of, you see these, you know, these pieces that are sticking up back here. They've already started to get that woody stalk on them where they don't want to knock over. So at this point I'm going back and forth, and what I'm doing is I'm cutting it in a different pattern than I cut it the first time. What that's going to do is the grass is folded over one way. I want to fold it over the opposite way so that it actually forces it to be pushed back up into the deck and hit the blades one more time. So we knocked out a significant section there, and we're going to start that other section. And in the meantime, James is coming in. This is the more I don't want to say detailed because it's not a detailed type lawn, but he, like I said, he's coming in around the trash and the chain link and the craziness in the yard, and he's gonna, you know, weed eat that back. This kind of work shouldn't be about speed, although as you hone your skills over time, you're gonna get quicker. So, you know, that some wire or something got wrapped up on there. So as you're honing your skills though, you'll get faster and be able to handle them a little better. Like I said, this property took us about 30 minutes, and you know, a big portion of that is the type of equipment we are using. You know, commercial mowers are going to handle stuff a lot better. It does put a massive amount of abuse on equipment. So if you're doing this and this is all that you are doing, make sure that you charge accordingly. $125, like I said, is what I charge, is not enough. Okay, I would, and something like in this ballpark would be around $400-500. But like I said, this is something that I can use as an outlet to help people out in my community. It allows me to make videos for you, good content that you know, I get paid on the back end for this. So if you're going to go out and you're doing this business wise, make sure that you're taking care of it, because the fact is, if you are doing this stuff non-stop, you can guarantee that the life on your engine and pretty much general wear and tear on your machines, as far as weed eater and the spindles on your mower, just everything in general, the life expectancy of your equipment, if you're doing this consistently, can be cut at least in half. All right, so you know, if you got a decent mower and you're going out and killing it every day, it's so rough on these engines. Make sure you're giving them cool down time. Make sure you're keeping an eye on the engine oil on your machine. So, you know, I mean, this is the type of stuff that puts the wear on everything. It's just hot. And I know if you're starting out, you're probably using older equipment. That 36-inch mower, I believe that's, I want to say it's a 2006 or 2008. I bought that machine for $1,400, and I've used it for about 4 years now. It's coming to the end of its life with my company, and I don't let anybody else use it because it's got so many issues. So, like I said, it's coming to the end of the life with my company. But if you're starting out and you're push mowing yards, this is something that you can get pretty rapidly. You can find some kind of walk behind unit or an older unit. Don't be afraid of it. Belt drives are fine. They work decent too, as long as you get them, you know, get them set up to where they're running pretty good. Try to get a Velke if you're getting a walk behind unit, so that it's pulling you behind it. Less walking is less wear and tear on your body. Yes, I have gained weight over the years, but that comes along with making more money. I was skinnier for a long period of time because I didn't have any money to eat. You know what I'm saying? Alright, so back here, one of the neighbors called me over and they were talking to me over there, and the grass is so high you couldn't even see them. Crazy. Now, at this point, I believe James has weed-eated more of the property than I've actually been able to mow. It's very impressive. If you want to know what this, everybody asks what the unit is we're using. We use the Echo 2620 PAS attachment series. So we can swap between weed eater, and we can swap between metal blade edger or hedge trimmers and stuff like that. Those are the units I like using because they're versatile. So every unit that I have on my setup is a PAS attachment series setup. And like I said, the reason I do that is so that they're versatile. If James is using one unit, he could be using an edger. I could use a weed eater. If I need to pop out some hedge trimmers real quick, I can do that just by swapping the head on it. And I have these extended hedge trimmers I can get up high up if I need to put a pulse on. It just allows me to make the most out of the small amount of space I have. If I had to have a dedicated rack or dedicated space for every piece of equipment, then I wouldn't be able to carry a pole saw with me. I wouldn't be able to carry tall trimmers. You know, all that stuff should be something you're thinking about if you have a pretty small rig and you're starting out and you need something versatile. So that would be my suggestion. The other thing is it gives you more bang for your buck. You know, you can get, if you bought a dedicated pole saw for, you know, cutting some tree limbs, smaller limbs, you might not use it very often. It's going to take up a lot of room and it's going to cost you quite a bit. But if you just get the attachment, it's going to cost you, I want to say 150, 200 bucks. By the way, there are links to all the equipment that we use down below, so if you want to help out the channel, you can purchase that. I get a small commission, and it can be shipped straight to your door, which is convenient right now with the whole COVID thing. I don't know about you, but if you haven't been to Home Depot, it is a nightmare this year. Just my personal opinion. Some people don't like Home Depot. I don't know the whole politics between Home Depot and Lowe's. I just know as a contractor, what's up, Mr. Bigglesworth? As a contractor, I like the layout of Home Depot more than Lowe's. That's off topic, but that's my opinion. So, you know, like I said, James is really hammering it out. I'm stuck talking to the neighbor, and she was just asking questions. People get excited about this. You know, when they have to look at something so crazy for so long, they're kind of curious. You know, they want to see who's cutting it down, and it's not bad to go talk to somebody. I'm not trying to pick up clients in this neighborhood, but if we were to get another loyal follower on the YouTube channel, I'm cool with the conversation. I'll send them a link to the YouTube channel and say, yeah, we're going to put this up on video soon. But the other thing is they'll talk about us. So in every interaction you're making in life, you're building rapport, you're selling yourself. I always like to present myself in a respectful way. So if somebody's trying to talk to me, I'm not going to snob them off. I am trying to work, and sometimes there's time for work, and sometimes, you know, that involves no talking. So, you know, if you're working, you're hustling, you're out, you know, doing this kind of stuff, do what you got to do and cut the conversation short if you have to. And you'll find that with clients too, especially if you're solo. If you're working solo and you don't have somebody else helping keep the job going, you need to cut that conversation short. If you're out in the heat, cut that conversation short. You're stealing time from your family, okay? So be respectful, give them a moment, and then cut it short. Over there on that house, dude, that bug flew up against the camera. Over there on that house, I can't see from here, but I assume if we didn't mess with it, it was probably poison ivy. So, you know, there's that. We didn't really mess with that, okay? Here's another odd, crazy thing about this abatement property. Coming from the code enforcement officer, she told us there were some plumbing issues, and so you'll see that here in a little bit, where they had a pipeline dug out on the house. While they were having that worked on, they were dumping human waste in the backyard. So she said that was last year, so hopefully by now it's all gone. It's pretty disgusting to find out after the job was done. But James is a champ. It's not the first time he's taken a turn to the face, I guess. You know, just the first time it's been human waste. But he didn't get hit with the turd, so we're good. I would not put him in that position knowingly, okay? When you're doing tall and crazy, overgrown yards, there's going to be stuff that you just did not realize. Like, my buddy was telling me about some horror stories of, like, bottles in the same neighborhood, okay? Because he cut in this area, and he was telling me about some yards in the neighborhood that were overgrown, where there were bottles that somebody had puked in them, and then, like, a milk jug, like, they puked and put it in the milk jug and then threw it out in their yard. So when he was weed eating, he hit it, and it just, you know, plastic gets brittle over time, and just shot all over him. So all I can tell you is, if you're going to do stuff like this, walk it and make sure you're getting paid accordingly. Again, the concept of what I'm doing, mowing back and forth, is pretty simple. Discharge outward. That's about the biggest tip I can give you on stuff like this. Cut higher, on the higher side of things. Don't try to take it to the dirt on the first pass. It's not going to work. Expect it to be messy, and expect to have to do several passes. Discharge outward so you're not overworking the mower, and then cut in different directions than how you cut it the first time. So if I'm taking a pass, like I'm going towards that other property right now, when I do my second pass, I want to try to go in the opposite direction, so fold that grass over. So if you look in the distance, I got the neighbor walking up again, right? Flagging me down. I'm not sure what she asked. I can't remember, but you know, it's just one of those things that she was asking about lawn service in the area, I'm sure, and oh, she was wanting me to haul some junk, and we just don't do that. You know, as you progress in business, just don't be afraid to say no, especially to people you know don't really, I don't want to say can't afford me, but you know, by the way somebody converses with you, you'll know if they can actually pay you to do what you're doing, or if they just want a price and want it to be super cheap. When you're doing this kind of stuff, people will assume that your prices are lower. So, you know, generally a business at my level, and I'm not trying to say that I'm above this type of work, but what I'm saying is, with the amount of development that my business has had and the level that we're at and how long we've been in it and the knowledge that we have and the type of work that we do, generally they're not still doing these type of work. So this is the type of lawn that you learn on. You learn how to cut crazy stuff, and then you progress to nicer and nicer and nicer stuff. Over the years, it will get nicer. We just started a $3 million property, and there's actually a video coming up on that very soon, and we will be discussing you know, how we picked it up and, you know, all of that stuff. But what you'll see is the level of maintenance is completely different. That's the type of stuff that I like doing on a day-to-day basis, is just polishing, going in and cleaning stuff up. Weekly is the way to go. I had somebody on here on one of my videos tell me I was complaining about that. It's not a complaint. So when I'm coming to you guys and I'm saying, hey, I've been through this, or this is what I do, or I don't like doing this, you know, when I'm saying I don't like doing a certain type of project like this, I'm not complaining to you. I'm just discussing where we're at with our business, what I've learned. And, you know, I mean, when you're going for money, the path of least resistance is always the nicest path to go down. And it turns out the path of least resistance in business is not mowing stuff like this. It's finding the weekly properties. And if you are in business and you're wanting a tip on how to get more weekly properties, it's very, very simple. When somebody calls you, you give them an estimate for weekly. You don't say it's weekly. You just let them assume it's weekly. And then when they say, is that every week? You say, yeah, we only cut every week. But normally that conversation doesn't come up. You just give them why would you assume that when somebody calls you, they want a lesser quality service? Just assume they want the good service. You know what I mean? So what you have to understand is that good service is every week, because the lawns generally need cut every week. Now, having said that, I have to say this, and every time that I say it, that there are people in certain areas, you know, there's regional differences where people cut bi-weekly, and that's the thing. Hey, I thought it was that way here too. I thought you only cut bi-weekly here, but the reality of it is, people like their lawn cut every week. They love an appearance every week. They want you to keep it manicured. Even when it's not growing very fast, they want you to come and just get the stragglers taken care of. They're going to be out there playing with their kids. And when you leave it up to your opinion on what they want, you're just giving a disservice to your client. If they say they want it every 2 weeks, what I've come to find out is that most people that say they want it every 2 weeks are really want it every week. And they're afraid to make the commitment on the buying decision because it's different. You know, I mean, it's you're taking on another price on utility. So when you charge accordingly, you're actually able to give them more of a service. But the other thing is they will get used to it very quick. And say you're charging $50 a week for lawn service. When you say $200 a month, it sounds like a lot. But when you say $50 a week, really, what is $50 a week? It's literally not going into Quick Trip or gas station about 2 or 3 times a week. Okay? It's just not making that extra stop, and it's not going out to eat twice a week. So for me, you know, when I justify that, they have to make the decision: do they want to eat out twice a week, or do they want to not have to cut their lawn so that they can go spend time with their family over the weekend? Because I'm going to save them a significant amount of time. The most important part is making sure that we are making enough revenue and enough profit that we can actually continue to deliver upon that service for them. Cutting something tall and crazy like this only took us 30 minutes. Cutting a yard on a regular basis generally only takes us about 15-20 minutes, but it's because we have the skills that we've developed over years, as well as the proper equipment. If you're coming in and you're mowing your own yard and you're taking an hour to do it, it's going to take you, it's going to take you on an average property in my size, about, a 8,000 square foot lot, it's going to take you about 1 full hour if you're skilled to push mow, edge, weed eat, and blow off, if you're doing it properly. But if you're a homeowner and you like the exercise, there's nothing wrong with that too. There's a lot of people, there's older men and women in the properties or in the areas that I service on a weekly basis that I don't judge them for not using my service. That's their their exercise for the week. It's their way to get out of the house. They enjoy doing it. Who knows? I might, when I'm 90 years old, if I can cut my lawn and it brings me joy and happiness, I hope that I'm out there doing it. Where I think I'll be when I'm 90 years old is not cutting the lawn. I'd rather spend that with my family. So, that's just my opinion. The other thing is, a lot of the times when we get into businesses, such as a lawn care service, it's a low barrier to entry business. We assume that people don't have money because we don't have money. If you can relate to that, let me know. I started out with no money. I think that is very relatable for most people in our industry. We start out with absolutely nothing. We're trying to figure out how do we make an income, and this is the path of least resistance. For me, it kind of evolved into cutting lawns, but it's one of those things that, well, it just happened pretty quick for me. This just in, I was looking at the video time on this job. I didn't realize, I thought we knocked this out in about 30 minutes. It was actually around 45 minutes. Still, not much of a difference. Of course, if you were doing this by yourself, something like this might take an average homeowner 2 or 3 days. My neighbor, when she cuts her yard, and she keeps it looking beautiful. So, every now and then I'll come in and cut her front yard for her so she doesn't have to worry about it. But she keeps her yard looking beautiful, and she cuts it once a week. She spends a day on the front and a day on the back. You know what I mean? So when you think about that, you're saving people a lot of time. Where she really enjoys working in her yard, so that's not an issue to me. I don't actually cut in my own personal neighborhood really. You saw me pull out the Ferris, so we got it all cut down. At that point, I know it's safe. There's not a lot of big dips. There's no metal pipe sticking up out of the ground. There's not wire or toys or just random bricks or stuff like that, so that it is safe. And I'm going to take my 61-inch mower through it while James is hacking down the Johnson grass on the top of that hill still. So the Ferris is going to come in. We're going to do the final pass, mulch it up, and turn it into finely shred up grass. Because that's going to pass the inspection. At this point, I think it might pass the inspection, but I'm just not a scuzzy kind of guy. I like to have that, I take pride in my work. I want it to look good when I'm done. So over there, if you saw, I went past the fence poles onto the neighbor's yard, and I was actually using my mower to blow the grass that we got on the neighbor's yard into this yard. Why would I trash out the neighbor's yard? They keep their yard looking nice. Little stuff like that matters. That's the type of effort that I like to put in. I want to make sure things look good. So we're going to go ahead and take the 61 through. It handles it really good from this point. Honestly, it handles tall grass good, but I think that it is a very unintelligent move on the behalf of any business to take their nicest piece of equipment through tall, dumb grass. Just don't do it. Don't do it. Okay, the 61's our big boy mower. It allows us to get the amount of workload that we get done in a week done at a very rapid amount. We use it on every property we can get it on, whether it's you know, a 2,000 square foot front yard or, you know, a acre property. It doesn't matter. We're gonna put the 61 on it if it fits. Now on that $3 million property that I picked up, just so you guys know, it has a lot of hills and stuff like that. We're using the 36 on it. I did use the 61 the first time. I just, you know, I think the 36 is a better fit. But as far as tall stuff, man, this thing shreds up. People ask about what type of blades I'm using. I use gator blades. They're a mulching type blade. So what they're going to do is they're going to lift the grass up, and then they've got, I don't believe the fins that are on it are more for shredding grass. I think that they are actually more for keeping the grass dispersed inside the deck longer, so that it'll hit the blade a few more times, if that makes sense. So, you know, I used to think the fins, if you see a gator blade, I used to think the fins were actually to finely chop the grass, but it's just keeping it flying around in the deck a little longer so they're hit with the blade more. So, I'm a big fan of this 61. I mean, you just see how quick the thing moves. It's a no-brainer. When you get to the point that you can afford one in your company, I wish I would have done it years ago. Purchase a larger mower. I know zero turn. Okay, here's one thing. I didn't want a zero turn. This is stupid, right? This is insecurity. Insecurities will hold you back in life. Emotions will hold you back in life. I had an insecurity about sitting on a zero turn because I felt like I was overweight. And I was like 180, 190 pounds. I was, for my size, my build, and my muscle build, it looked good on me. It looked very good. Now I weigh more, and I sit on a zero turn, and you want to know why? Because I know it puts less wear and tear on my body, and what I've learned over the years is that the amount of wear and tear that you put on your body is more important than your insecurity. So I'm going to sit on this mower, feel insecure, and let somebody call me fat. Alright? It just is what it is. Who cares? I have no problem with adversity. I invite you know, the people to get on here and give me some. If you want to razz me, and I get it on every video. You're fat and you cut the grass too high, and you should have cut it lower, and you're fat. And oh, you would have lost more weight if you were raking the yard instead of using that big loud blower. You know what I mean? None of that matters. Check this out. James found a cellar here. Yep. Never know what's in there. Kind of cool shot. James is holding the camera. Pretty cool. I like that. We need to get some. We don't have any mounts, so we don't do a lot of shots like this. Personally, I don't like shots like that because I can't really see what's going on. But I would like to do some how to weed eat videos and actually show a shot like this where we're showing how do we say a fence line, because the way that you'll actually weed eat a fence line weekly versus bi-weekly is completely different. Like I've noticed this, that I walk in different directions depending on how tall the grass is, because I can weed eat forward, I can weed eat backwards, I can weed eat sideways. It doesn't matter. It doesn't bother me either way. But when the grass is tall, I like to discharge it back to me. And then the other thing is, like, what piece of equipment I use is different too, depending on, you know, the order of, you know, how I use the equipment. So nowadays I almost always mow first and then I weed eat afterwards, because we're cutting weekly lawns and the amount of discharge and debris that's left afterwards is incredibly minute.
Mindset. Okay?
But if you're cutting,
I'm not saying it's perfect,
you know,
but I
lawns
try to
bi-weekly and you're
stay
cutting
on
off,
that
say,
track where
6,
I'm positive
7, 8
at all
inches,
times.
you'll probably want to weed eat first so that it actually, you know, lands on the lawn, and then you can mow over it. And when you mow over it, it'll shred it up and clean it up a little better. So, you know, on something like this, we've got some grass on the fence over there. I would weed eat to pull that away from the fence. In this case, we're going to use the blower. We're going to blow all that off the fence. But yeah, just the little simple things. How you what type of property you're taking on affects the type of technique you would use. And you know, I got somebody else that said, you're talking too much, it's just grass, and it's not rocket science. Yeah, I get that too. I used to think that before I was in the business. I was like, it's just grass, I can cut grass. You know, now I've been doing it for several years, and I try to think about, you know, I've made it simple. I've oversimplified it because I've gotten so good at it. It's one thing to do it, it's another thing to train. It's another thing to explain it on video and articulate in words how you would actually cut and what you're doing and why you're doing it. Because it's not just what you're doing. I mean, people want to know what you're doing, but why are you doing it that way? Oh, well, because I saw this guy do it before, and I think he did a really good job. No, there's got to be a reason why you do stuff. You know, I mean, how I discharge, how I'm cutting, everything has a purpose. There's always some kind of purpose. I'm a purpose-driven person. My techniques are to make my life easier. I don't want to work harder. We change it. James is coming in. He's getting the final section of the lawn cut. And off to the left, just a heads up, there's like this tree that was cut down and left there. And there's a pile of wood and some chain link and some trash and some poison ivy. We got some good old poison ivy in there. Tip with poison ivy, because I guess I mentioned there's poison ivy in there. Let's go ahead and talk about a tip. If you learn to identify poison ivy, look it up right now. And if you learn to identify poison ivy, poison oak, poison sumac, the different poisons you have in your area, arsenic, different type of poison, okay? If you learn how to identify the different types of poisonous plants in your area that are going to mess you up, well, you can learn how to work around them in a way that will prevent you from ending up with issues in the future. So the best way to prevent it is to identify it, and identify it at a distance. Know what exactly it is. Like, I can spot poison ivy from like 50 feet away, man. It's like a superhero power I have to spot poison ivy. The last time I had poison ivy, okay, let me give you some criteria other than I've been a lawn guy for a long time. The last time I had poison ivy was in 2014, specifically June of 2014, late June of 2014. The reason why I know that is my daughter was born on July 3rd, and without that situation, I probably would have just kept not caring about poison ivy, because you know, you itch, whatever, I'm gonna do this crazy work, I got things to do, I'm not worried about any of that. Well, the moment my daughter was born, I decided I need to learn exactly what poison ivy looks like and never catch it again. And the reason why is she was born on the 3rd. I had poison ivy all the way up until like a couple days before she was born. I thought when my daughter was born, I was not going to be able to hold her because of the type of work I do, which is not fair. It would not have been fair to her. It wouldn't have been fair to me. Now, I made a decision, a conscious decision then, that I would never bring poison ivy back to my house. I don't want my wife catching it. By the way, when my wife was pregnant, she caught it from me like 2 times. So I didn't want my wife to catch it anymore, because that's just jacked up. I never wanted my daughter to catch it, and I don't ever want to catch it again. So I made that decision. Now, if you do have to come in contact with it, so like in this scenario, if you have to come in contact with it, clothing will help. So jeans, long sleeves, the way that you weed eat, you don't have to if you learn how to handle it, but the way that you weed eat. So again, we'll say the best way to not catch it is to not put yourself in the position, but if you have to, wear the proper clothes. Weed eat so that you're actually angling the head so that it discharges away from you. That's going to prevent getting it on you as much. And then if you do get into it, I keep a bottle of Dawn dish soap inside my shower, okay? And if I come in contact with it, when I get home at the end of the day, sooner's better, but if I get in contact with it by the end of the day, when I go in to take a shower, I take a cool shower, not a hot shower. Hot showers open up your pores. I take a cool shower. I use Dawn dish soap. I wash off very thoroughly. I do not scrub. I don't use a loofah. I don't, scratch or try to break my skin. I wash off very thoroughly though, and I rinse off with cool water, and then I repeat it. And when I'm done repeating it, I repeat it one more time. And then I'll use my regular body wash so I don't smell like Dawn dish soap, because who wants to smell like Dawn dish soap? And then afterwards, when you're drying off, this is another thing. Do not dry off aggressively. I used to just grab a towel and like I'm scrubbing my skin, because I didn't like being wet. Either just let yourself dry off or pat yourself dry with a towel. Do not dry off aggressively. It will not be a good thing. So at this point, this is what I'm talking about. I'm coming in, I'm cutting it at an angle. We got some crazy stuff. I'm hitting the vines. And that's when I saw the tree in there. I didn't realize the tree was in there. So I was like, yep, not worried about that. Moving forward, just cutting what I can. Oh, there's some logs, there's some chain links, some weird stuff. And then I decide I'm going to give up on this side. That looks pretty good. And I'm going to go on the other side here in a second. And we're gonna make this look pretty sharp. So that's what I do, right? I mean, you're a lawn guy. Your job is to do the job, get it done in a timely fashion, because that's how you make money. And do it. Okay, if you're in business, I'm going to give you the biggest business tip you can probably get. It's very, very simple. If you're in business and you want the best business advice you can have, it seems very simple. I promise you, write it down, whatever you have to do. This is how you set yourself apart. Ooh, my string. I'm out of string. To walk of shame back to the truck to go get string. Ugh. Okay, back to what I was saying. If you are in business and you want to set yourself apart from the competition, it is not very hard at all. Step 1, answer your phone. Step 2, answer your phone. Step 3, be courteous and kind and honest and trustworthy, and be out there very quickly to give your estimate or do your estimates on the phone. However you're going to do it, have a process, but be professional. Stand out as a professional. Step 3. I never said step 3. Step 4. Step 1 and 2 are answer the phone. That right there is something somebody needs to hear. Answer the phone. But I'm an introvert and I don't like answering the phone. It gives me anxiety. Shut up. Answer the phone. Just answer the phone. Step number 4. Do what you say you're gonna do when you say you're gonna do it. That one's so hard for people. Do what you say you're gonna do when you say you're gonna do it. If you do those, I promise you, you will do good in business. That right there. Well, how do you get word of mouth referrals? That's how you do it. How do you get 5-star reviews? That's how you do it. How do you do good in business? That's how you do it. How do I make $10,000 a month cutting grass? That's how you do it. I don't make $10,000 a month, by the way. We drag in above $10,000 a month in revenue, but there's a difference between revenue markers and what you're actually making. Okay, so be clear when you go to start a business. You can make it look very glamorous from the outside, but when you're actually out here doing the hard work, it's different, man. It's very, very different. It's not as easy as it seems. You get into the hot weather, people start shutting off. It's hard work. You're putting in a ton of hours, because you will. You're going to work a lot of hours outside, and then you're going to go home and you're going to do paperwork, and you're going to bill people, and you're going to chase your money because you're not listening to me and taking card on file and doing things the way that you should do. All right, dude, this yard was wild. For me, I did most of this stuff back here. It's pretty basic. It was all flat. It's a little soft, but other than like one big hole, there wasn't really anything. But I noticed you've got like this trench. I don't know if it really picks it up in there. Put your foot in there, James. I mean, it drops off, so there's like this trench that goes up here where maybe a pipeline was dug up at one point in time. This over here, it's like, what? I know there's some poison ivy in there. There's your close-up of it. Okay, some poison ivy. There's some plywood and chain link fence in there. There's a cut down tree and vines growing on it. That's what they get. I was called here for that and not that. So, what else did you find over here, dude? I noticed you found 3 mowers.
I did. I found 3 lawnmowers, a bunch of chain link fence, busted up 2x4s and stuff, foam cups. It was an insane amount of crap.
All right, so I mean, it's rough. The yard's rough. It's wild. All right, bro. What else did you find?
Cellar.
Found a cellar. Dude, there might be some bodies in there. There might be. You guys seen that movie, The Room? There might be somebody in there. Who knows? Who knows? This is a wild yard, right? I don't know what this is. Some plastic. That might have been what they wrapped the body in. You know, it's a crazy one. We got some chain link. There's a tent there. Somebody was camping out. Maybe they were living back here for a while. There's some old VHS tapes. Some mowers that don't get used. I mean, it's very apparent to me they don't get used. But you know, and then we had this craziness over here, where like, see the side of the foundation. So the crawl space is open down there, and you got all this. It's really a pretty wild property, and you know, what's sad about this property is this property is not vacant, and so somebody's living here in these conditions, and you know, we don't know what's going on. We were just hired by the city to come take care of this. For all I know, they've had a loved one in the hospital, or you know, something of that nature. Maybe they're I mean, they might be on drugs. Who knows, man? I know a lot of the times when your life turns to disarray, and the person that needs to hear this might hear this right now, but when your life turns to disarray and things get crazy, it might be because you're on drugs and you gotta get your stuff together, you know. And I guarantee anybody that's watching this and has ever been through that knows exactly what I'm talking about. So, you know, it wasn't that long ago. You remember when I was about 20 years old? My wife was in and out of the hospital, right? And I meant to mention this on one of my other videos, but my wife was in and out of the hospital. She has Crohn's disease. I spent about 3 or 4 weeks with her in the hospital, and when we got home to the house that we owned in Kansas before we moved to Tulsa, it was just like this. It was wild and crazy. So it was probably at 2 weeks before we left in Johnson grass. 2 weeks, you'll end up with stuff that's like knee high. But then, you know, whenever someone goes into the hospital, it's normally in an emergency scenario. You never know when it's going to happen. So then we're in there for about 3 or 4 weeks. We come home and everything's gone crazy. Like, you know, the dogs tore up the house on the inside. The grass is 6 or 7 foot tall on the outside. It's just wild, right? What about you?
What?
Your lawn ever get real crazy tall on you?
All the time.
Oh. It wasn't just maybe there was a situation where you just didn't feel like cutting the grass.
Every day.
I know.
I worked a lot of hours. I didn't like mowing.
I know. I'm gonna tell you right now, as a lawn guy, my backyard will get wild sometimes, and I have to go smack it down. And if you were to see it, you might lose respect in me. But you know, it happens. As a lawn guy, my yard's the last one to be cut. But you know, I'm just throwing it out there that people have scenarios in their life, and at this point, I'm rambling. Any good takeaways? What's the word or phrase of the day?
Redneck dungeon.
Redneck dungeon is the phrase of the day. Drop that down in the comments, and we'll know that you made it this far into the video. And you know, let's just take one more look at it. Redneck dungeon.